Every day, millions of people wake up trapped inside the same invisible cage, the cycle of health anxiety. It starts with a thought, a symptom, a feeling that something might be wrong. Then comes the spiral, searching, checking, scanning, Googling, and waiting for reassurance that never lasts. The brain learns this pattern so well that it becomes its own addiction, an addiction not to a substance but to certainty. The craving for reassurance lights up the same reward pathways that light up when we chase a like, a click, or a dose of dopamine. But here's the truth. Your brain can change. You can rewire it. Neuroplasticity is not just a scientific buzzword. It's your biological superpower. Every thought you resist, every reassurance you delay, every moment you breathe through uncertainty, you're teaching your brain something radical, that you are safe even without control. The first step is awareness. When you feel that surge of panic, don't run from it. Name it. Say to yourself, this is anxiety, not illness. Labeling the emotion recruits the prefrontal cortex, the rational part of your brain, to calm the amygdala, your brain's alarm center. It's the first moment of taking back power. The second step is exposure. Every time you resist checking your pulse, every time you avoid Googling a symptom, you're strengthening your emotional muscle. Discomfort is not the enemy, it's the training ground for resilience. Think of it like dopamine fasting for your thoughts. You're breaking the cycle of immediate relief, and in doing so, you're teaching your brain long-term peace. The third step is balance. Health anxiety often thrives where your life is out of rhythm, when you've overindulged in digital noise, underslept, or neglected simple joys. Restore balance through structure, not chaos. Move your body, sleep deeply, eat consciously, connect with real people, not screens. The brain loves balance. It's how dopamine finds its natural rhythm again. Fourth, practice radical acceptance. Not everything in your body needs to be fixed. Not every sensation needs a solution. Acceptance doesn't mean giving up. It means surrendering the illusion of perfect control. When you allow uncertainty to exist, your nervous system learns calm. And finally, seek meaning. Health anxiety often fills the space where purpose has faded. When you redirect your focus towards something larger, love, service, creativity, faith, your brain begins to anchor in truth rather than fear. Meaning quiets the noise of obsession. Healing isn't about erasing anxiety. It's about transforming your relationship with it. You are not your symptoms. You are the awareness behind them. The more you trust your mind to handle uncertainty, the freer your body becomes. This isn't just neuroscience. It's liberation. So, the next time your mind whispers that something's wrong, pause, breathe, smile at the discomfort, and remember, your brain isn't broken, it's learning. Every moment of stillness, every act of courage, every breath you take in uncertainty is a signal to your nervous system that you are safe. This is how healing begins. This is how you rewire your brain. Your brain is addicted to certainty. That sentence might sound strange at first, but it's the quiet truth behind so much of modern anxiety, especially health anxiety. The human brain is wired to seek safety, and safety often feels like knowing what's coming next. When you sense something uncertain, especially in your body, your brain lights up with alarm. You feel a tightness in your chest, a flutter in your stomach, a new ache in your head, and instantly your mind rushes in to interpret it. What is this? Am I sick? Is something wrong? That rush to explain, to check, to Google, to ask someone else, it gives a momentary sense of relief. That tiny hit of reassurance feels calming, even pleasurable. But just like a drug, the calm fades, and soon your brain craves another dose of certainty. This is how the cycle begins. Every time you search for symptoms or ask for reassurance, you're reinforcing a reward pathway that says, if I feel anxious, I must check to feel better. Over time, your brain learns that anxiety is the cue and reassurance is the fix. The problem, that fix never lasts. It becomes an endless loop of fear and relief, like chasing smoke. This is not a failure of willpower or character, it's neurobiology. The brain's reward system, the same one that drives substance addiction, also fuels reassurance-seeking dopamine, the neurotransmitter of desire and motivation, spikes in anticipation of relief, not in the relief itself. You begin to crave certainty, the way someone might crave a drink or a scroll through their phone. It's the craving that keeps you hooked, not the satisfaction. But here's the good news. If the brain can learn anxiety, it can also unlearn it. Neuroplasticity means your neural circuits are constantly changing in response to experience. When you resist the urge to check, when you allow uncertainty to stay without immediately fixing it, your brain starts to build new pathways. The amygdala, which sets off alarms, gradually quiets. The prefrontal cortex, the rational part of your brain, gains strength. Each time you sit with the discomfort and nothing catastrophic happens, your brain learns a new truth. I can feel uncertain and still be safe. Breaking this cycle doesn't happen overnight. At first it feels uncomfortable, even painful. But the discomfort is not danger. It's detox. Just as the body trembles when it's withdrawing from an addiction, the mind resists letting go of its reassurance habit. The goal isn't to eliminate uncertainty, but to change your relationship with it. Instead of fighting it, you begin to witness it. Instead of reacting, you pause. That pause is the start of freedom. Every moment you choose awareness over reaction, every breath you take through anxiety without needing answers, you're rewiring your brain toward peace. You're teaching it that life doesn't need to be perfectly known to be beautifully lived. Certainty was never the real comfort. Trust was. And trust, unlike reassurance, grows stronger the less you chase it. Discomfort is not danger, it's training. The modern world has taught us to fear any form of unease. We're conditioned to chase comfort, to soothe every flicker of anxiety, to silence every doubt with reassurance or distraction. But the truth is that emotional discomfort is not a signal of harm, it's a signal of growth. The brain, like any muscle, only becomes stronger through resistance. When you stop running from discomfort and start allowing it, you transform your nervous system from reactive to resilient. Think about how anxiety works. The moment you feel fear in your body, your heart racing, your stomach tightening, your chest constricting, your brain interprets it as a threat. You react by checking your symptoms, seeking reassurance, or escaping the moment through distraction. That act of escape temporarily relieves the fear, but it teaches the brain a dangerous lesson. If I avoid discomfort, I survive. Over time, your tolerance for uncertainty shrinks. Even minor sensations start to feel unbearable. Discomfort becomes something to fear, when in reality, it's your body's invitation to strengthen your emotional endurance. Every time you resist the urge to check, every time you sit with the tension instead of running from it, you're teaching your brain that anxiety itself is not dangerous. The surge of adrenaline that comes with fear is designed to prepare you for action, not to harm you. It's energy moving through your body, not evidence of catastrophe. By allowing it to pass without reacting, you create a new neural association. I can feel this and still be safe. That simple lesson is the foundation of emotional freedom. In neuroscience, this is called habituation. When you repeatedly face what you fear without escaping, the brain gradually learns that the feared experience isn't dangerous. The amygdala, the brain's alarm system, starts to quiet down. The prefrontal cortex, responsible for logic and self-regulation, grows stronger. What once felt unbearable begins to feel tolerable. This process doesn't eliminate anxiety, it transforms your relationship with it. The same way a runner builds endurance through effort, you build emotional stability through exposure to discomfort. At first, this process feels counterintuitive. Your instincts tell you to escape, to find safety, to regain control, but healing requires the opposite movement. It asks you to lean in, to stay present with what feels uncomfortable, to breathe instead of react, to witness the fear rather than obey it. Every time you do, you're carving new pathways in your brain. Pathways that say, I can handle this. That's how confidence is built, not through control, but through experience. When you begin to see discomfort as training rather than danger, anxiety loses its power over you. You stop interpreting every flutter, every ache, every uncertainty as a sign of collapse. You start seeing it as a signal of strength and progress. The goal is not a life without discomfort. It's a life where discomfort no longer defines your choices. The moment you stop fearing discomfort, you begin to reclaim your mind. That's where true freedom begins. Not in the absence of anxiety, but in your growing capacity to live peacefully beside it. Dopamine finds balance in discipline. In a world that constantly bombards us with stimulation, our brains have forgotten how to rest. Every notification, every scroll, every search for reassurance floods our neural pathways with quick hits of dopamine, the brain's currency of pleasure and motivation. At first it feels good. The relief of knowing, the comfort of checking, the momentary calm after a spiral of anxiety. But like all short-term rewards, it comes with a hidden cost. Over time, those bursts of dopamine flatten your natural ability to feel contentment. The more you chase comfort, the less peace you feel. The brain becomes restless, craving yet another fix, and health anxiety thrives in that restless mind. This cycle mirrors the same neurochemical pattern found in substance addiction. The more frequently we activate the reward system, the more desensitized our dopamine receptors become. What once brought comfort now feels empty, and the only way to feel okay is to seek another hit. Another search, another check, another test. We begin to mistake the relief of reassurance for healing, when in fact we're feeding the imbalance that fuels the anxiety. The mind becomes trapped in a biochemical roller coaster of fear and relief, and the body follows suit. But here's the paradox. True peace comes not from chasing more pleasure, but from creating boundaries around it. Discipline, not indulgence, is what restores balance to the brain. When you stop feeding the cycle, when you resist checking that one more symptom or delay your search for reassurance, you are rebalancing your dopamine system. At first, it feels uncomfortable, even painful. Your mind protests, your heart races, your thoughts shout for relief. But underneath that noise, your brain is beginning to heal. Every moment you choose stillness over stimulation, you're giving your dopamine system the space to reset. In neuroscience, this reset is real. When you abstain from repetitive dopamine-triggering behaviors, the brain gradually restores its natural sensitivity to pleasure. What once felt dull begins to feel alive again. Ordinary experiences, a walk outside, a meal shared, a moment of laughter, begin to feel meaningful. Balance returns. This is the essence of discipline. The ability to delay immediate relief for the sake of deeper peace. Discipline doesn't mean repression or punishment. It means awareness. It means noticing the urge to check, to scroll, to control, and choosing not to obey it. It's not about denial. It's about direction. You are teaching your brain that pleasure doesn't need to be constant to be fulfilling. By grounding yourself in routine, rest, and mindful choices, you allow your nervous system to move from chaos into rhythm. In time, your dopamine rhythm finds its natural balance again. The highs and lows even out. The noise of anxiety quiets. You realize that discipline isn't a cage. It's freedom. It's the structure that allows your brain to recover from overstimulation and rediscover calm. In that quiet balance, you find something far more lasting than reassurance. The steady peace of a regulated mind. Acceptance is the opposite of control. Most of us spend our lives trying to fix, predict, or prevent anything that feels uncertain. Especially when it comes to our bodies and our health, we confuse vigilance with safety, as if constant monitoring could protect us from pain or loss. But control is a mirage. The harder we chase it, the more anxious we become. The mind clings to the idea that if we just think enough, search enough, or prepare enough, we can outsmart uncertainty. Yet in reality, that mental struggle is what keeps the anxiety alive. The need for control is not a sign of strength. It's the brain's desperate attempt to escape the discomfort of not knowing. Acceptance, by contrast, is not resignation. It's not saying, I don't care. It's saying, I will stop fighting what I cannot control. It's a radical act of trust in your body, in your resilience, in the flow of life itself. When you stop trying to control every sensation, every outcome, every possibility, your nervous system finally exhales. The endless loop of what if begins to quiet because your brain no longer interprets uncertainty as danger. Acceptance rewires your relationship with fear. It teaches your brain that safety does not come from certainty, but from surrender. In neuroscience, this shift is deeply significant. When we let go of control, activity in the amygdala, the brain's fear center, begins to decrease. At the same time, regions involved in self-regulation and emotional processing, like the prefrontal cortex and insula, grow more active. Acceptance activates the circuits of calm awareness. It literally changes how your brain experiences anxiety. You stop being a victim of your thoughts and start becoming an observer of them. This doesn't mean you never act when something's wrong. It means you act from clarity, not compulsion. You no longer chase false certainty through endless reassurance or self-diagnosis. You begin to live with the reality that some uncertainty will always exist, and that's okay. The world has never been fully safe, but you can be fully present in it. Acceptance is learning to coexist with imperfection. It's understanding that control is not peace. Letting go is, at first, acceptance feels uncomfortable because it removes the illusion of control the brain has relied on for safety. But over time, it brings something far deeper than comfort. It brings freedom. You begin to experience your thoughts as weather passing through the sky of your mind. The sensations in your body no longer feel like alarms. They become signals you can observe without panic. When you practice acceptance, you are telling your nervous system a simple, healing truth. I am safe, even here, even now. You realize that peace isn't found in trying to fix every uncertainty, but in learning to live fully despite it. Acceptance does not make life predictable. It makes it livable. And in that surrender, the mind finally rests, no longer in control, but finally free. Meaning is the antidote to fear. When your life becomes consumed by health anxiety, your mind narrows its focus until everything revolves around one central theme. What if something's wrong with me? The brain becomes obsessed with scanning the body, interpreting every flutter, ache, or sensation as a potential sign of danger. It's as if your consciousness collapses into a single tunnel where only threat exists. This constant vigilance doesn't protect you, it drains you. You stop truly living because you're always preparing not to. But beneath the fear is something deeper. A hunger for meaning. Anxiety fills the space where purpose has faded. When your mind has nothing meaningful to focus on, it will create something to obsess over. That's how the human brain works. It needs a target, a narrative, a sense of control. Health anxiety becomes the story your brain tells itself to explain uncertainty. It gives the illusion of focus, but it's really a form of disconnection from your body, your purpose, and your presence. When people find purpose, their relationship with fear changes. Fear doesn't disappear, but it loses its dominance. The brain begins to anchor in something larger than the self, something worth enduring discomfort for. This shift is visible not just psychologically, but neurologically. Research shows that when people engage in purposeful activity, acts of creativity, service, or connection, the reward circuits of the brain light up in ways that mirror deep satisfaction, not just fleeting pleasure. Dopamine levels stabilize, stress hormones like cortisol decrease, the nervous system learns to rest again because the mind is no longer stuck in the loop of self-surveillance, meaning gives anxiety context. When you wake up each day and know why you're here, your fears no longer feel like the center of the universe, they become background noise. You begin to understand that the goal is not to eliminate fear, but to outgrow it. Purpose stretches your focus beyond the small space of worry into the wide space of life. Instead of asking, what's wrong with me? You start asking, what can I give? What can I create? Who can I love? Those questions open the brain's pathways toward connection and resilience. In a world addicted to distraction, meaning requires intention, it's not something that simply appears, it's cultivated. Sometimes it starts small, with gratitude, with movement, with a project that pulls you into flow. Sometimes it's rediscovered through suffering itself. Many people who have faced illness, loss, or trauma emerge with a greater sense of clarity about what truly matters. They stop chasing perfection and start choosing presence. Meaning doesn't erase pain, but it transforms it into something purposeful. This is the paradox. The more you chase comfort, the more anxious you become, but the more you chase meaning, the calmer you feel. When your energy shifts from avoiding discomfort to pursuing purpose, the brain's reward system reorganizes. You begin to crave creation instead of reassurance. You find joy not in certainty, but in contribution. Life starts expanding again. Health anxiety thrives in isolation. It convinces you that you're alone in your fear, trapped in your own body, but meaning grows through connection. With others, with nature, with something spiritual or transcendent. The more you reach outward, the less power anxiety has to pull you inward. You begin to see that your body is not an enemy to control, but a companion to care for. You start treating it with respect instead of suspicion. The sensations you once feared become signals of aliveness. To live with meaning is to live with both fear and courage at once. It means accepting that uncertainty will always exist, but choosing to move forward anyway. It means realizing that joy is not the absence of anxiety. It's the decision to engage with life despite it. When you're anchored in meaning, you stop waiting for the perfect moment to feel safe. You start living now, even when your heart races, even when your thoughts whisper doubt. You discover that fear can coexist with gratitude, that vulnerability and purpose can share the same space. Meaning doesn't come from thinking your way out of anxiety. It comes from living your way through it. The more you act in alignment with what matters, the quieter the mind becomes. The brain stops obsessing over imagined threats because it's busy creating real fulfillment. Every meaningful action, no matter how small, tells your nervous system, I am alive. I am engaged. I am safe in the act of living. It might start with something simple, helping someone else, creating something beautiful, expressing what's true. These moments of purpose don't erase uncertainty. They transform how you hold it. The anxious energy that once fueled endless checking becomes the same energy that fuels creation and compassion. Fear becomes fuel for depth, for empathy, for awakening. You cannot think your way into peace. You must live your way there, and living in its truest form is impossible without meaning. When you give your mind a reason to rise above fear, the fear loses its power to define you. The question is no longer, how do I stop feeling anxious? But what kind of life am I building, even with anxiety here? That question changes everything. Meaning is not something outside you, it's something you choose, moment by moment. It's in every act of courage, every breath taken with awareness, every decision to stay present in the face of fear. When your life is guided by purpose, health anxiety no longer runs the story. It becomes a passing chapter in a much larger narrative, one written not by fear, but by the steady, resilient hand of meaning itself.